Nintendo. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear that word? For millions of people, it's this. Video games, entertainment, fun. But did you know that Nintendo has been in business for over 100 years? In this short documentary, we will look at the history of Nintendo, the products and services it has sold, and what the future might hold. Nintendo is a Japanese company that opened its doors way back in 1889. It started off creating and selling Hanafuda cards. These types of playing cards have been used in Japanese culture since the 1500s and were very popular, especially in gambling parlors. By the mid-70s, Nintendo had released its first home system, the Color TV Game 6, which had 6 basic video games built into the system. At the same time, it had begun to release games in the arcade. Little did they know that their first breakout hit was just around the corner. It was 1981 that changed everything for Nintendo. That's when Shigeru Miyamoto's first game released in the arcades. Do you know what game it was? If you guessed Donkey Kong, you'd be correct. Putting a story to the characters struck a chord with gamers worldwide, and Donkey Kong became an amazing success, selling over 60,000 arcade machines in just 1 year, netting Nintendo a solid $180 million. Listen closely to this sound. Do you know what it's from? What about this one? If you guessed Super Mario Bros., you'd be right. Millions of kids and adults were mesmerized with this game, which came packed in with the Nintendo Entertainment System. It released in Los Angeles and New York in 1985 and then spread nationwide in early '86. Why was the Nintendo Entertainment System so successful when others had failed? Even though the NES has similar CPU architecture, it had a dedicated graphics and sound chip as well, which allowed it to showcase graphics that were far and away better than anything appearing on Atari. In addition, the cartridges themselves could house special chips, allowing for more detailed parallax scrolling in games, as well as better music. Nintendo also believed in strict quality control and testing of the games before releasing them, and this included third-party software as well. They limited the number of games third parties could release in any given year to avoid the same mistakes that plagued Atari early on. In 1988, Nintendo reached out to customers via their own magazine called Nintendo Power. Anyone who had registered a warranty card got the first issue for free. Ask any kid who grew up in the 1980s, and they'll probably have fond memories of this magazine as it covered all the latest games and revealed classified information and secret tips and tricks. Combined stellar sales of systems and savvy marketing, and the NES became an amazing success story, with shortages cropping up all over the world.
It may be the most addictive toy in history, and it's definitely the hottest thing this Christmas. Nintendo video games.
You came 1,000 miles just for this game?
Yes. I've done 7 stores a day for 3 weeks now. I cannot find it.
Never has there been a toy that's been this successful.
How big a hit is this?
This is as big or bigger than anything the toy industry has ever seen. I'll give you one comparison. Barbie, which is an institution, does about $500 million a year. Nintendo does over 3 times as much.
In Japan, the games are an even bigger success. These people are upset because even after waiting all night, they were unable to get their kids a new version of a game called Dragon Quest. In the US, it's mostly Mario that they want.
At the height of Nintendo's popularity, it introduced the Game Boy, which featured an LCD screen that allowed for moving graphics and, in a stroke of genius, packed in a copy of Tetris for free. This made the product desirable to adults as well as kids. With all the third parties on board, Game Boy became an immediate success, going on to sell over 118 million worldwide. Nintendo had a problem. Their stranglehold on the US video game market was beginning to loosen. Sega had released a much more powerful gaming system called the Genesis in 1989, and was beginning to gain ground. However, the NES was still selling like crazy, so releasing a successor so soon could cannibalize sales. Thus, Nintendo chose to wait it out. It wasn't until August of 1991 that Nintendo finally released the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. This powerful system packed in some incredible technology like Mode 7 scaling and rotation that allowed for amazing 3D effects. Allowing for more colors on screen, increased resolution, and immersive soundtracks, the Super Nintendo captured the imaginations of gamers everywhere. It propelled many games forward to a level that had never been seen before. The Super Nintendo would go on to sell 23 million systems in the US and over 49 million worldwide.